Well, the saying time is money is still one of the most applicable business mantras of all time. And because it is still so applicable in today's market as it was back 100 years ago, the term timing is everything is also still a rule. And song and album release dates are no exceptions to those laws. And while releasing a full-length studio album has been a tradition since almost the beginning of music recording history, in the world of the EDM music scene that's so darn mercurial, one has to wonder whether or not this older, more dated version of music distribution is still the correct option. So what's different about the traditional approach as opposed to an extended EP release schedule? Well, let's break it down. On the traditional album approach, we're usually left waiting between 2 and 3 years before recorded releases from each individual artist. And for the mainstream audience today, that might seem painfully too long, especially when new advancements in the EDM music industry are coming out almost weekly. And we're seeing those changes not only in singles, but also on social media. The first benefit of the extended EP approach is the fact that because you are cutting down the number of tracks from between 10 and 14 that's on a standard album to between 5 and 7, you're able to spend a lot more time and effort making sure that those tracks sound unique, different, and sophisticated. This also enables them to make sure that their tracks are currently on trend and are being released at an appropriate time for the rest of the genre. And with less tracks, you're able to publish new material at a higher frequency of rate. And that leads us to our second point, and that is exposure, exposure, exposure. And when you're in a music genre like EDM that is ever-changing and very quickly evolving, in fact, I would go as far as to say is that EDM is like the fashion industry of the music world, right? And in the words of Heidi Klum, one day you're in and the next day you're out. I think one of the most important points to remember is that you need to be consistently putting out new content and coming to the forefront of your audience's awareness as often as possible. And if you're smart and are able to do some collaboration, it means that you're able to put out maybe a remix album of your extended EP within 4 to 6 months after your EP comes out. And the third reason I think that this newer format works so brilliantly in this situation is the all-important $sign. Because when you have new content coming out yearly, you might be able to inflate the price of said EP slightly higher than it would be for us to just buy singles, but also keeping the price point lower than a full-length album would be. And because of that little fluctuation, I think people would be willing to pay, a few cents more per track to have new content every year as opposed to having to wait so long. Secondly, on that same note, I think this also boosts tour appeal, right? You're going to have people wanting to come see you play your new stuff that's on the EP, but also tease your future releases on the EP that they know you're already working on it because you've come out and said that this is going to be your new release format. So I think that boosts your people's interest in coming to see you perform live, and that's another huge moneymaker. I think this adds a lot of positive incentive for the artist, not only creatively, but also from a business perspective. So it really wouldn't surprise me to see within the next 6 months to a year a lot of big-name A-lister artists deconstruct maybe their albums that they have been working on and release them more along this timeline. So what do you think? Do you like waiting 2 or 3 years to hear new songs from your favorite artists? Or would you be willing to pony up the few extra cents per track to get more content more often? So be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Thanks for going over this with me, and of course I'm excited to see you next time.